Hi, I'm Junaid Kalia. I'm a neurocritical care stroke and epilepsy specialist currently living in Dallas, Texas. And today we are excited to do this AMA about Revive Labs. Revive Labs is essentially a product accelerator. And I'm going to go ahead and define that in a very important way because that's something that you need to understand. So first and foremost, what it is not. It is not a VC fund. So we're not actually providing funding to the particular startups. It is not a research organization. We're not just purely doing research. What we are doing here is we are looking for startups and founders that have great ideas and they want to make a product. The difference is that they don't know how to get the product in health tech industry because of three major issues. One, they don't understand where the need is, and that's what we call product market fit. So you need to understand where your product is and how it's going to fit into the market. And that's where we, with our clinical experience, with our experience in international market, specifically in US, and more importantly, all our advisors that are living in China, India, Dubai, etc., Turkey, UAE, UK, all of that. So there are differences in different areas where the problems can be different and the solutions can be different. So what we help them is to find their product market fit. Number two, the biggest issue with health tech is compliance. And that's where actually me personally as the Chief Compliance Officer of Revive Labs help future products and future companies to gain entry into these markets, and they're compliant, cyber secure if they are a software company, and make sure that their product is available in the market. And lastly, understanding the network, because you do not only need money to be successful, you need networking so that you get your first contract with a major hospital. You are able to get the data you need to explore those opportunities. That's exactly what we do. We are officially a product accelerator. We take your product and accelerate it from 0 to 1. That's our job. And therefore, we advise multiple different startups. Before I get into more details, I want to introduce my whole team over here. First and foremost, Danish Bhatti. He's another neurologist here in the United States, and everyone's going to give their introduction, but he is the CEO of Revive Labs. Dr. Fareed Suri is another neurointerventionalist here in the United States, and he is actually responsible for the scientific and accuracy of all the products. And Dr. Shahid Rafiq, he's our Chief People Officer. He basically, most importantly, makes sure that everyone is communicated at all times and the resources you need in terms of networking is there. We have, again, a slew of other people that are engaging with us in multiple cities, multiple areas, geographical areas, etc., where we bring these resources to the future startups. So I'm going to first and foremost start with Dr. Shahid Bhatti. So because it was his project and he truly inspired me to join Revive Labs. So Dr. Shahid Bhatti, Dr. Shahid Rafiq, so what inspired you to actually make this Revive Labs?
He's on mute.
Sir, you're on mute.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
That is correct, sir.
Right, good. Thank you, Junaid, for introduction. As you pointed out, I'm Shahid Rafiq. I'm a neurologist and a stroke and sleep specialist living and practicing here in Maryland, United States, near Washington, D.C. So basically, it's really not me, but a group of friends, in particular Danish Bhatti, that we started with an idea how to, do something substantial for not only Pakistan but all the low and middle income countries with the innovation. In particular, because we are Pakistani, we came from Pakistan. Pakistan is our motherland. We wanted to explore the talent that it has, and it has an immense talent. The people of Pakistan, I think that's the foremost important asset that the Pakistan has. So for various reasons, obviously, it has not seen its full potential. And we wanted to see if we can contribute towards that goal. So that's the idea and vision behind the Revive Lab, as well as the Tajdeed that Danish can talk more about. But we have been involved in education through Apna Merit, myself, Danish, and other members of the board of Revive Lab and Tajdeed. For the past, I think, 15 years, we have provided education, capacity building, and various courses for education and skill workshop to Pakistani institutions, universities, and that has been a very rewarding, successful journey. But then we wanted to pivot to more substantial medical devices, innovative ideas, innovation, software, AI, now ChatGPT, all of those cutting edge technology that we see here in the United States. And we hope that people in Pakistan are also seeing all those changes and maybe as excited or more excited than us, but not finding the way to come to that platform. So this is a platform to bring all people who are interested, talented, hardworking personalities on one platform, and that's the idea. Hopefully, we can be successful together in achieving something. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Love it. I mean, that's actually inspired me because there's a huge difference. The real gap that exists in the market is taking your research and making it into a product, going from a scientist to actually a founder. And that's what we're looking for as far as Revive Labs is concerned. Before I forget, I apologize to Dr. Pashmeen Lakhani. She's our director of Revive Labs. She is literally the face. If you have any questions, any comments, ever need anything, she knows everything and everyone in our organizations. Pashmeen will be the one who would be actually deciding she's also making sure that she asks the questions on our chat. So make sure you put all your questions in the chat box so that we have that. So going back to that, going from the scientist to actually a product, going from a researcher to a founder, I would give it the mic to Danish to comment forward what he's thinking is about Revive Labs and how we are going to progress this organization forward for the benefit of humanity, both in terms of healthcare technology and, of course, creating fantastic companies and jobs.
Thank you, Junaid. So I think that the challenge that we saw that we're trying to solve is that people who have ideas about an innovation. So basically, an innovation or a startup starts from a proposed solution to a problem. So identifying a problem and then offering or thinking or proposing or designing a solution to that problem. But there are many steps it takes for that solution to become marketable or commercially available. You need to know, is the design right? Is the solution right? And what's the problem defined right? Even at the design stage. So you need help and guidance on that or feedback on that. Sometimes the idea is mostly right or almost right and just need to be nudged and adjusted. Once you got the design phase done, then you need help in developing proof of concept in terms of some feedback from someone who is telling you what you're building as a proof of concept is what was the intention, and throwing back and forth or having someone to show that proof of concept and get feedback on. And then with the proof of concept developed, then the challenge starts where developing a minimum viable product, you need a lot of access to audience or customers. And really in healthcare, the customers are patients or sometimes the providers themselves. And that is a huge barrier for many people, that either they don't have access to the data they need or the patients they need or access to the physicians or institutions and providers and so on. And that's where we really have the biggest strength to jump in and make those connections and give that access while also helping with the design and testing or beta testing of that minimum viable project. Once a minimum viable project is done and you start testing on live commercial launch, you still need some help, but not a lot, especially if you're learning after launching it that there are challenges. You may need a feedback from someone independently on what those challenges are or how to translate that feedback from customers. And once your beta testing has success and you're ready for scaling it, to a large audience, that's where really the big money is needed. That's where the venture capital start. So we are really in the pre-VC area. Sometimes it's called angel investment. But what we are really looking to participate or contribute is not that initial seed money, which is relatively a lot of sources are coming online to offer that seed money, surprisingly, even in Pakistan. So maybe seed money is not that big of a challenge anymore. Hopefully will not be in near future. But the challenge will remain in terms of barriers uh, to the customers, to feedback and just expert opinion. And that's what we are hoping to help with in Revive Labs.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. Probably one of the most sweet and concise description of what we call product life cycle, starting from the ideation to product market fit to minimum viable product, version 1, and scale. And literally where we come is in the first 2 phases of your product life cycle, and therefore accelerate it to the next particular process. Now, I'm going to try to, and again, let me just give you an example. So for example, I'm actually founding a company, and honestly, Danish gave me fantastic feedback how to adjust my software application. Shahid Bhai provided me personal contacts, networking, and access to data. Fareed Bhai actually was able to give me, again, a very good roadmap and networking where my first client will be. So I am literally the first most important example of how these amazing people have helped me personally. So going back to Dr. Fareed Suri, he has been always, before I go into it, by the way, Danish plays guitar and he does make a fantastic show out of it. So again, we are all human beings over here. So make sure that you ask questions and let us know. Dr. Fareed Suri, if you go to his garage, it looks like he is not a doctor. He is actually a mechanic of some sorts. He has all sorts of PCBs. It's just amazing how he is tinkering with all those mechanical things, which really amazes me because I'm sort of the software guy. So coming back to Dr. Suri, sir, what do you think is the most important issues in health tech product line? Try to concentrate on the physical products and then the software line.
Thank you, Junaid, and thank you for, I would say that I would also Dr. Shahid and Dr. Danish for starting this platform and making me a part of it. It has been, I would start it, is that it has been always my desire to support innovation, healthcare technology innovation, especially from the founders in Pakistan. There is a lot of opportunity for founders nowadays, especially with all the resources that are available on the internet, all the technology that is available. Most of the technology can be either done by software or the hardware that are easily available. So it is a lot of opportunity for people, for energetic, enthusiastic, intelligent, sharp, smart people in Pakistan to basically use their mind, to use their energy, and to make products that can flood the market. There are people we have been finding people who are very strong ideas, very strong background, very strong knowledge, and just guiding them in the right direction is basically what we are here to do, and that has been all of our passion. For the product to get into the market, we just need to basically make sure that the product is, for example, the product has a market, first of all. As a group, as we as a group, whenever somebody presents a product to us, a healthcare product, we all have been working in this. We have all supported companies. We have all supported innovation, healthcare innovation, have thought about it, and are always thinking about it. So when somebody brings up a product to us that this is their idea, we look into that and see if that idea is marketable. Is there already existing products in there? What would be their competition? And is this product something that's is niche product that has some niche market, or is it something that's completely innovative? So it's after looking into that, then we also, one of the most important things that kind of block that product is that how will it will be the regulatory pathway to that. And that's where Junaid comes in. He has a very good understanding about the regulatory pathways and what needs to be done. And that's basically is one of the main things is that will this product be, what will it need to get through the regulatory pathway? And then finally, obviously, then making the team, by making the product, getting the final beyond acceleration, basically getting it funded to the point that it becomes completely a full funded project and getting it through. So it is a lot of steps in there, and we are basically all passionate to support everyone in who is planning to or who is and energetic to take these steps.
No, that's again a very good summary, and that's exactly where we come in. Honestly, what we have all done is mistakes, and literally we have been making mistakes for the past 2 years, so you don't have to. We have founded approximately, each one of us have founded at least two different companies. We have mentored at least 2 other companies as well on an international stage. Danish actually specifically has worked on different companies here in the United States as well. What we have gone through is this product life cycle, both from the physical side and the software development side. And we have seen that how you envision the end product and walk backwards, where the compliance is going to be issues, where the legal operations were going to be issues, where the implementation issues, where we're going to need networking, where you're going to need different kind of talent. When do you find employees? Where do you find consultants? So therefore you save money. Where you go backwards in time, what you get in this process is that superb wisdom, and wisdom comes with experience, not just knowledge. We learned by doing ourselves. Unfortunately, we made a mistake, and what we want to do is make sure you don't do that so that you can get your product faster in the market. So I'm going to go back again one by one, and I'm going to basically go ahead and start with Danish again, and then understand that where Danish comes in this team, and how we actually go ahead and do this process of evaluating different companies that we are going to basically help and support. And then we're going to go into first evaluation. How do we actually set up the process and then move forward?
Thanks, Junaid. So I think coming to the practical steps, we are, as I mentioned earlier, we're really looking for early stage companies. We don't, if you already have product in the market, we may still be useful. We're happy to hear about it. But if you just at a design stage or a proof of concept stage, as long as you have the skill and you have a team that can pull off the idea, we are willing to listen to it if the idea is appealing. So you don't have to hesitate that you have to have a lot before you reach out to us. And we are willing to listen if the idea is good, and regardless of what stage you're at, and start working with you or guiding you. And it may be that right away we may not be able to do a lot for you, but at least we'll hear you, we'll give you feedback on the idea. And if you need to work on it more or develop the team or other resources, then you may have to go and then circle back with us after a while once you're more ready for us to work with you more closely. But when the way to reach out to us is very easy. We have this accelerator program. It's an ongoing basis application cycle. Dr. Pushmeen Lakhani, as Junaid mentioned earlier, is our executive director, and she really runs the whole program. You can find us on revive-labs.com, also posted in text by Dr. Lakhani. You can also reach out to Dr. Lakhani directly. And she's very approachable, and it all starts with putting in a simple, brief summary of what your product is, or what your idea is, or what stage it is. And of course, we want to have some specific information about it. So there's a structured application, and maybe Junaid can talk a little bit more about it. And once you do that, we look at it, we review it, and if the idea is appealing enough for us, because we have all daytime jobs. So we wish that we could just hear everyone and talk to everyone. But if it's something that we think we can help or add value in, we will then reach back out to the applicant and start the conversation. We may have a meeting, we may have a presentation, and then we may have Q&A, and from there we basically, depending on what stage the applicant is, we start outlining how that program would work for that particular person. Back to you, Junaid.
No, again, look, one of the key things that I always teach my students in general is what we call empathy. Empathy literally is defined as you put your foot in other person's shoe, and then you start backwards. And what you have to do to get my attention is very simple. You have to understand that I'm busy, I'm working full-time job as a neurologist. I am helping other companies as well. And you need to give me your idea in a succinct format that you understand that A, this is a good idea, why it is a good idea. Number two, you have a proper documentation of what the future market is going to look like, both nationally and internationally. And then lastly, if you actually have a team to build it, because you can have an idea which is Googleable. Honestly, right now, most ideas are available on Reddit, or someone has actually posted it. The question really always is that, do you have the capacity, both as an individual, and that is fine too, potentially co-founders, two people that are going to work on it and build on it enough that we can put our resources behind you in terms of our network, in terms of our resources from software development, in terms of our, compliance, knowledge, etc. So the minute we have that, then we can actually say, okay, we are actually going to go behind you and therefore support you. And then eventually, when you have the minimal viable product, and this is really where Shahid Bhai comes in, he's one of the founding members of a venture capital fund as well. And there where he takes up and says, okay, here's my massive network of venture capitalists and angel investors. There you go. Now you have the product. Here's your accelerator money, and go forward. So that's the whole point. When you are reaching out to us, make sure that you have that in mind. Who are you reaching out, and have empathy, literally, because our time is important. But if you are able to describe it succinctly and clearly, then we know you have a clear vision. And sometimes your product is not bad. It's your idea sucks. I'm going to be very honest with you. Some people comes in and says, this is the idea, and they have very grand ideas. So I would prefer that always find a niche, and then secondly, still come, because sometimes you may not have the right idea, but you're the right person for the job, and we still accelerate founders in a different idea. And we actually recommend you go ahead, look at this idea, because this one that you just presented, there are 50 companies, you're not going to be able to compete in the market. So as Danish said, please do reach out to us, but make sure that you have a clear vision. And if you don't have it, then say it that, hey, this is the initial vision, but I'm open to adjusting. I'm open to pivoting into different ideas as we go along. I'm going to go one by one to actually add some of the comments. Actually, it's an open mic for our panels. Do you have anything to add? And then we're going to go for our questions.
Yeah, I think that, Junaid, I wanted to add, you pointed out a very good, aspect of our thing. It's not, obviously product is important, your idea is important, your vision is important, but who you are as a person is equally, if not more important, which we call founder. So, so a lot of time we have seen in the past 1 year that we've been doing this, that there are ideas or vision, but the person who's bringing it on the forefront, what we call founder, is not as strong. Maybe they didn't have opportunity to groom, and maybe they did not have opportunity to work in other companies and have experience, practical experience. So, so I think the founder's personality, perseverance, hard work, tenacity, all those qualities are as important as their product or idea. And that's why Junaid was saying that if we like you as a founder, and the idea and vision may need some tweaking, we can do that, or we can still incorporate you in many of the other companies that we are working with. And we always need people. We always need human resource. We always need people Like I said, they're very talented um, in Pakistan, but maybe they need a little bit of guidance. Maybe they need a little bit of grooming. Maybe they need a little bit of, pushing or nudging towards the work ethics and hard work, which we learned here, and we would like to definitely be available for those young talent in Pakistan to be the strongest founder that they can be. Thank you.
Absolutely. I just want to add one thing. So Danish helped me one day and I was like struggling with something. And then Danish comes and says, stop, Junaid. You have to figure out when to delegate. And he said that your hours is worth this amount, X amount, and anything that is below X amount, you should delegate. And what I realized at that point in time, initially for building a company, is making sure that how to use my resources as well effectively. So those are the kind of things that we teach you in this particular setting. And of course, founder. When you are at this early stage, it is less about idea, it is less about product. It is, of course, the product is there. But what I'm saying is that when we start evaluating you, we are looking at you more than the actual product too, because that's where you have the capacity, you have the tenacity, and you have the grit, basically the passion, and most importantly, the perseverance, because this is a long journey. This is not going to be 1 year and you're going to say, oh my God, I'm done. This is going to be a 3-year, 5-year journey. So we want founders with grit to be in our team. Danish, anything to add?
I think I would like to touch on 2 other important topics, and maybe with the help of you and others. I think we should talk a little bit about what kind of ideas are we interested in, and then once someone has an idea and they think they want to develop it, how to think about that process of developing the idea. But I'll pause and see, maybe we'll circle back to these 2 points later.
Yeah, I just want to give a small break and wanted to make sure that if you have any questions, please do raise hands, put it in the chat so that we can address them. Because when we get to the 30-minute mark, people start to get doze off. So we just want to make sure. And if you want to actually ask it, we can open your mic up and you can ask the questions. And then we'll come back to basically the crux of the matter that Danish is saying, how to generate an idea that scales. In the meanwhile, while you're actually typing it in, I'm going to just introduce Dr. Babar Rao. Babar Rao is an amazing personality. He owns the Legend EMR. He's part and parcel of our advisory team. Thank you, Dr. Rao, for being here. If you don't mind giving us 2 lines about yourself while people are putting in some questions.
You're mute, Babar.
Oh, now it was, can you hear me, Dani?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Junaid, Danish, and Shahid, and Dr. Kasuri. Basically, I've been working with this team for couple years now, and I have already developed a product which is an EMR, or electronic health records. Most of the development team is based in Pakistan. I had few Indian developers in the past, and our head of IT is also in Toronto. But really, during this time, I have talked to Danish and Junaid and all of Shahid and all of them, and fine-tuned my ideas as I was moving along. And we have now already launched the product in the United States, but I keep talking to all these 3-4 gentlemen in reference to the servers, in reference to the compliance, in reference to how to just fine tune it and control expenses and everything else. So I'm very much involved with this team and happy that I work with all of these guys. Thank you.
Sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So what we are doing is, one of the things that Dr. Rao brings again is his vast experience of building electronic medical records, dealing with data governance, etc. These kind of people are our bread and butter advisors. And if you need something like that, if you need something that how we're going to build a product on top of an EMR, then he's a great resource. So that's how we actually proceed in our incubation, in our acceleration for your product in the future. Coming back to the excellent point that Dr. Bhatti brought up was basically idea generation. And then that is, as a founder, you're going to think about. But more importantly, which ideas are we most interested in? So I'm going to start with Dr. Suri in terms of what ideas inspire him. And then we're going to go back to our whole panel one by one to actually see which ideas we actually screen out so that we can accelerate those ideas.
No, thank you, Junaid. This is a very interesting point, or this is a very important thing to discuss. Basically, when I am thinking about an idea or a product or anything, it comes up when you are trying to do something and you realize that there is no good solutions to do that thing. So you're trying to find some kind of like a product, and you find, for us, we are all physicians. And so we see in our healthcare management and everything that there is something that's missing in there, that's lagging in there, or there's something that's available, but maybe it is not as good, or it is lacking some features, or it needs to be tweaked to some special market. So that's when you realize that, then that is basically, that stimulates the idea that is it something that can be done better, such as that, or something that can be innovated to create something. And that's where you start thinking about it. You need to have some kind of like, obviously, a background knowledge. So if you are, for example, a software developer, if you are a hardware developer, if you are a machine developer, you have a mechanical engineering kind of ideas or background, then you are able to use that. Especially if you have a team with you that is already worked on something, you know what are the capabilities of the team, you know how to use their resources, you know your team can do this part and you can do this part. So it is, once you look into that, then you kind of like realize that you look into the idea more, you realize that, yes, this is something that I can do better, or I can innovate, or I can create, that does not exist, or that can be, or at least does not exist for this particular purpose, or can do this thing better. So I would say that this is basically where their idea is generated or stimulated. Obviously, it means that you have to have a certain level of background knowledge or understanding of the subject that you're trying to deal with. Obviously, once you deal with that, you don't have a complete knowledge. You may be coming from a completely an engineering background and may not have a healthcare background. And that's where we've come in, or your other healthcare partners may come in, and to see or to support you, or to analyze your idea, and to critically analyze your idea and determine if this idea is really marketable or it can be tweaked. So thank you, Junaid.
Oh, I wish somebody told me. And that's, again, as I told you, these people have helped me finding the right idea and stop wasting my time with the wrong idea too. Believe it or not, the most important asset you have is time. And as I said, this team has also helped me finding the right idea, more importantly. Again, for coming back to our two major headings that we work with is the wellness, which is also called HealthTech. And then we are specifically for medicine, which is called MedTech. And those are our big umbrellas that we work for. We still are not truly, let's say, limited to talking to only health tech and med tech companies. That is something that we actually own in our in-house expertise. But if you do also reach out to us because of something else, we'll be happy to connect with you or connect you to somebody else if, let's say, it is not something in our wheelhouse in terms of our product market. To talk about both the difference between health tech and med tech and how we actually sort of sort out ideas, I'll give it back to Dr. Danish Bhatti.
Thanks, Junaid. So, I will talk about high-level things. I'm going to talk a little bit about what kind of ideas we're interested in, and then touch a little on how to develop an idea like Dr. Farid was talking about. And then hopefully before we end today, Junaid, we can talk about just examples of what ideas have we worked on or worked with in the past to kind of give some idea to people on kind of projects we explore within scope of what we can talk about. Of course, there are a bunch of stuff which is behind NDA and we cannot talk about. So high level stuff. But let's start with what kind of ideas are we interested in. I would say, as Junaid said, it has to be healthcare related is our forte. We may listen to something that's kind of on the margin of it or overlapping, such as education. But it has to circle somehow with healthcare. Just given the limited scope of time we have, we definitely jump on healthcare a lot more. I would add that we really are looking for innovation or innovative ideas, or what I sometimes call breakthroughs. But bottom line is that it's something that is a new solution and then not just a replication of a solution that already exists. Replicating a solution that already exists is not bad. It's just that the challenge there is more of scaling, better packaging, better selling model, deeper margins and things are more of a business development strategies rather than product development in itself. So, for example, of course, China does this excellent, right? So China has a recreation of many of products that already exist in the market in such deeper discounts that they come in and they just completely destroy the competition, which is fine. But I would say that our push is towards non-replicable new ideas, something that you're not just replicating something, but is a breakthrough and innovation and doesn't really exist in a large commercial scale. And then coming back to what Dr. Suri was saying, how to develop the idea. One thing that we want to see before we talk to someone is that they have done research on it. Information is available online, on Google, information is available on YouTube, information is available on ChatGPT now, or Bing or whatever. You can just go and ask, I'm thinking of this solution. Has there been something like this before? Who has done it? What's the market? Simple question you should ask. This was let's say you ran into a problem and you didn't have access to something, your family member didn't have access to something. The question, is it really a problem? Or was it just a unique situation for you? Or is it a problem for most or everyone, right? If it's just a unique problem to you, that's not a marketable solution. It's just a problem that you need to solve in your life. But most people don't have that problem. So it's really a problem. You go online, you see how many people are complaining about it. What's the access like? I didn't get it. Can other get it? What's the cost and things like that? Then you look at it, okay, why is it a problem? Is it that its cost is too high? Is it that the solution is not available, too cumbersome? Needs too much expertise, skill doesn't exist. And then you say, okay, do I have the right solution? And then, as I said, you look for, has it been tried before? Does the product already exist and just somebody has not brought it to Pakistan or something like that? And then you say, if I come up with that solution or actually create it, will people pay for it? Will it really make a difference, basically? And people vote by their money, basically. If they like your idea, they will pay for it. And if they don't, they're not going to pay for it. And then your final step is that do have a plan. And of course, do you have a plan to develop that solution as a product? And then do you have a plan to then market that solution as a business? So two separate components of plan. But I will again finish by saying that we are okay if you don't have a business plan, but you at least should have a product plan or a product search for it and say that I searched it, it exists, this is the problem, this is the scope of problem, this is my solution, it will work, people will pay for it, and this is how I will develop it. And then we can have a conversation. Thank you.
I just love it. The absolute. So being the Mayman in me, I would just say that the way that my dad always described it is basically find the pain and make them pay for it. It's that simple. Find the pain and make them pay for it. It is that simple, without any doubt. And that's where our journey lies. We're going to help you find the pain. That is where everyone is saying, which is the problem, identifying the right pain problem, the pain point. And then how do you get that pain point, create a product so that somebody is willing to pay for it? That's literally the process that we're going to go, the 3 Ps: pain, product, pay. Before I move forward with the examples that we have done before, what companies we have backed, etc., I just want to make sure that I introduce Dr. Adnan Qureshi. He's our fourth and most important member of our core sort of members. Again, we have a lot of people. And Dr. Qureshi, again, has personally helped me a lot in identifying some of the crucial shortcomings of me in terms of data, in terms of everything. And I'm grateful that he has always helped me, and I would let him introduce himself and then say a few words if I'm missing anything.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for inviting me and introducing myself. I'm Adnan Qureshi. I'm actually a professor of neurology at University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri. I think in addition to the academic appointment, I've been very actively involved in product development and clinical trials, and have an experience of not just in United States but many countries. So I think that hopefully we'll work with you in terms of regulatory approvals, in terms of introducing it to other countries. We have a large number of contracts, not just in United States, but all across the world. Whether it's China, Indonesia, Europe, South America. So I think we hopefully be in a position to help you move forward. I think that a couple of things I just wanted to add to what has already been added. I think that, as appropriately said, that there is a lot of emphasis on the team that's behind the idea. And one thing I just wanted to also mention is that, we also look at the diversification of the team. Obviously, one group of people cannot, or one particular set of specialities cannot have all the expertise that needed to successfully take a product into a business world. So I think one should recognize early that what kind of expertise will be required, and if they don't have that particular expertise, what have they done, or do they have a plan to actually fill that gap up, either through consultants or new partners? And then secondly, I think that one should also classify the product that they want to bring. Is that something that's totally innovative? And then that has its own challenges. It may be a little bit more difficult path, because then there is also proof of concept. The second is whether it's actually a product that's just a better solution to what exists, which is a little easier path on the developmental, research developmental side, but it may be a little harder part on the commercialization, because there is a whole competitor element that comes into it. So those are some minor comments I had. I think everything else has been very eloquently said by all the other members.
No, absolutely. I love it. The two different pathways, the innovation pathway and the re-innovation pathway. That's the term I use. The re-innovation basically means that you basically end up creating a process. That's always the process part in which you innovate. Basically, you're basically taking the same idea, but you are innovating on the process portion to deliver it safer, better, faster, and cheaper. That's the term that we are looking at on that pathway. And then, of course, the truly innovative pathway. The term that Dr. Qureshi was eloquently saying is that with the health tech, there are challenges beyond just making sure that you have a pain point that you're solving, because is the insurance going to pay for it? Is the compliance going to be regulatory approval is going to be a big hurdle when you have a truly innovative thing? Again, we have done this before. It's not our first foray, but just letting you know that we think a lot about all those things when we go forward. I'm going to go through last round of comments, and I want panels to formally introduce if I left out something. And then secondly, point out one thing in the past in a more generic form, that what company we backed, why we backed it, and then what are we looking forward in that particular project. So I'm going to start with my screen. Danish, go ahead, if you don't mind, just giving us one example so that people know what we actually, as an example, do.
Thanks, Junaid. So I'm going to re-stress before giving the example and show how that example helps do that. What you were saying, cheaper, better, safer. People don't recognize how valuable that information is, that when you're bringing something, the word innovation, what really means is that what you're bringing as a solution is either 10 times better than the solution that currently exists, because everybody's solving things some way. So it's not that nothing unsolved at all. Those unsolved mysteries are very few. The only example in Pakistan I can think of is that the language from Manjadaro, that 4,000-year-old language, is still unsolved. People don't know how to translate that language. So unless you're doing that, then it has been never solved before. Otherwise, anything that you're doing, people have solved before. So what you're looking for is that, is my solution 10 times better? Is it 10 times cheaper? So if current one costs $100, mine will be $10. Is it 10 times safer? Then currently 30% people die when with this treatment, and my treatment will bring it down to 3%. Or something like that. Of course, the goal should be 10 times, but you may not get to 10 times. But that's how you start. Is my solution going to be 10 times better, or 10 times cheaper, or 10 times safer? One of these three is required. Two will really make you a billionaire, and three will get you a Nobel Prize. So that is the goal. So let's take an example. I'm going to talk, hopefully, the public information only. And my favorite example, one of our earliest companies that we got started with, I didn't have too much of a role. I did have some, but we were also early investor in that company, is Bionics. Bionic is made, it makes a new peritoneal dialysis machine that they have made. Is now FDA, it's now DRAP approved in Pakistan, and they're working on FDA filing. So it's actually commercially approved and through compliance and regulation, and available in Pakistan, is being used in Pakistan. So the Farooq, who's the founder, he came into this problem where one of his family member had acute kidney failure. They couldn't get access to dialysis in Pakistan in a timely fashion. And then so he figured out, why is dialysis so hard in Pakistan? And he was working with dialysis machine companies in America, and he realized that the dialysis through blood, hemodialysis, is very expensive and complicated and difficult, needs a lot of skill, while dialysis through peritoneum or abdomen peritoneal dialysis is much cheaper, much safer, and much easier, but the technology is very old and is not worthwhile to bring to Pakistan, and there are issues with that technology. So he said, let me make this technology 10 times better and 10 times cheaper, and hopefully safer, which is the third target he's working on right now. So he set up a shop in Pakistan, and went back home from MIT, working from companies in US. And he redesigned a peritoneal dialysis machine, peritoneal cycler they're called, in Pakistan, by training engineers, getting guidance, getting access to people who help and design it. He tested in patients in Pakistan. He filed for regulatory approval in Pakistan and got that approved. So now it's DRAP approved in Pakistan. It's only available in Pakistan. It's only approved in Pakistan. And this is one of the first medical devices or solutions I know of that was actually approved in Pakistan before anywhere else in the world. So it's an amazing story for me for that reason. It's for the first time, I believe, the DRAP approved something that was not approved anywhere in the world. So far, they only approve things that are approved by FDA or Europe or someone else. And so this was very challenging to approve it. It took, year and a half to 2 years to actually get this approved, because there was nothing to compare against. There was no approval that existed anywhere else for this device. But it is approved. It's available in Pakistan. I know of a project in Mayo Hospital, Lahore, where they are planning to do this peritoneal dialysis unit. Patients will come in, get their peritoneal dialysis, very cheap, very effective, go back home, but you can buy it to do it at home. There's also a subscription model, and so on and so forth. So that's one example I have in mind. Thank you.
Absolutely. I would love to comment more, and I'm so excited about Bionics and proud to be an early investor in that company as well. I'm going to move to Dr. Suri.
Thank you, Junaid. So I would like to share the story of one of the companies that I initially supported quite, I think, 8-9 years ago. It was SRS Web Solutions. It was my friend, he's from Hyderabad, India, and he was interested in making a company. Initially, his idea was to just make some app company, but since he was involved with us, we gave him an idea of like, why don't you start? He started the company. It was not going too much, but we gave him an idea. So why don't you look into having the consent forms electronically signed in the clinics? We know in our practice that it is a big issue having the consent form signed by on paper, and then when the patient is coming for a procedure or something, or tracking the paper, it becomes a big issue. So this is obviously something that requires you to be knowledgeable of a clinical setting where in United States where things are done, most of how the paperwork is hurdled or is a nuisance. So he made up this consent form on electronic consent form, made an app on iPad. He has developed a team in Hyderabad, India, or somewhere in India, and he has this launched this. He was not an IT person. Interestingly, he was just a manager. He is just someone who can or marketing person. He is overall able to manage it very nicely. Go to the clinic, started selling it, and was able to make that thing into a multi-million-dollar company over the next 4, 5, 6 years. And he was able to start launching other products with his network now, and he is kind of like looking into developing other products. So very simple idea. It was a completely innovative idea at that time because nothing like that exists for the clinic. And it was something that was a problem that we know it exists, but for some reason, nobody realized at that time that this is something that would become a market. He obviously did his research. He obviously looked into that. He talked to the clinics before he started launching this product and see that if it is really a problem. He launched it only for the dental clinics. He looked into what kind of clinics are going to will be interested in that, and he realized that dental clinics are the ones that are mainly interested in that. And he launched it only for the dental clinics, and now he's looking into expanding it to the others. So just something that is like a very small niche idea became such a nice, decent sized company. He has probably 150 employees now in US and in Pakistan, and so in India. So very simple idea, but became very big. So
Absolutely. I
Junaid.
love that. Basically, find the pain point, but most importantly, make sure that you find the real niche before, like the dental. Don't boil the ocean. That's the term we use when you're going to talk to us. Don't boil the ocean. You cannot do that. I cannot do that. Find that niche where you're going to really pinpoint and then grow from there. So I'm glad that you shared that story. I always make that point when we are teaching young entrepreneurs. I'm going to come to Dr. Rafiq, sir.
Thank you, Junaid. Can you hear me? I switched from laptop. Basically, I love these stories, but I think I love more working with founder like you. You've been working on great ideas, the patient care, remote patient monitoring, chronic care, pain management, or chronic patient diseases management remotely. Because as a practicing physician, I see those pain points, like you said. Patient cannot, especially the COVID highlighted all those hurdles. Patient cannot have conveyance or transport, especially we are talking a lot of healthcare inequities in our society here in the United States, where marginalized communities, marginalized section of population cannot afford to come to physician offices and maybe are uninsured. So your solutions are tremendous. Same thing with the Dr. Babar Rao, and also I would like to mention the Dr. Qureshi and Dr. Farid Suri had worked with a intracranial stent, which is a very new thing. Cardiac stent, everybody has heard, but
I think I lost him. Does everyone can hear him anymore, or? Okay.
No, we can't hear him.
Okay, so Dr. Rafiq actually brought up a very important point, and again, he has basically helped everyone out, and this is the point that is what our passion is. The passion is to save lives and limbs, right? So that we can invest in anything. Let's be honest, right? We can invest in Zillow, we can invest in real estate, we can invest in dozens of things. Why do we put our most important asset, which is time? And the reason we do that is, first, we are passionate about it, we enjoy it, and we truly believe that not only you're going to make massive amount of money, we're going to be some sort of beneficiaries of your innovation coming to the spotlight. So thank you so much, Dr. Rafiq. Sorry, Dr. Qureshi, if you want to bring in your unique wisdom or a story, that would be nice for people to know.
um, I think that I've been involved in biomedical, the biomedical development for the last almost 30 years, and since I've been in the field of intervention, that has taken rapid evolution. So obviously, I've seen a lot. I mean, I've been involved in biomedical device companies, designing catheters. Dr. Rafiq was mentioning that we've been working on intracranial angioplasty and stent placement, other solutions for different diseases, and interestingly, sometimes the solutions can be very simple. For many years, I used to collect teaching cases, and one of our researchers simply said that, why don't I turn it into an app and commercialize it? And then that's what he did, and now he's about to commercialize it. So he simply took all the things I used to share with everybody and turned it to an app that can be widely distributed for education for a certain amount of fees. So I think that was very interesting, that sometimes simple things can turn into a pretty exciting venture.
Yep, and that this is something that, again, as I said, we find passion in doing it. I'm grateful for all the advice I got. I'm gonna ask Danish, am I missing something? As you can see, we work as a team. We always ask each other, and then if not, then I will let Pashmeen close out today's session.
I think we covered most of it. There's, of course, always interesting thoughts that we can talk about. It would be a good discussion to see why is the right time to do this in Pakistan? How is the landscape of product development changing so that it's now more doable in Pakistan, where it was so hard before? Barrier to entries are decreasing, new tools are coming out, cost is coming down, and access is improving. But maybe a discussion for a follow-up webinar just around that topic. And for that same reason, we can talk about in that context, why health tech is an emerging industry in Pakistan, and why it'll be useful and why it'll be valuable to invest and work in healthcare. But let's keep it, because we're on the hour, for another discussion. I would rather have Pashmeen introduce herself and discuss about who do we take, how they reach out, how do we take them, and how do we help them. That kind of to summarize it and close the session for today, Pashmeen.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Thank you.
please. Thank you so much again for everyone. I want to make sure that you listen to this portion of the talk very carefully. If you have any ideas about future webinars, please do reach out to Dr. Lakhani, our Executive Director. Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Great session. I am a founder myself, and I had my startup with Aga Khan University Hospital and faced some of the challenges that Dr. Danish and the team pointed out that new founder do face. So you have my contact information in the chat. Do feel free to reach out to me, even if you feel like, as Dr. Junaid mentioned, that you might have some points that you believe that are lacking. Maybe we can have you join our team, or can help you in any other way. So do reach out to us, and thank you all for joining. Anything?
Thank you, everyone. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.